Now this is interesting. Today we're playing the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 on a brand new device. Not a computer and not an Xbox, but look at this. Yes, this, the PlayStation 5, which I guess opens the Microsoft Flight Sim world to a whole new group of people who can finally play the flight sim and can't afford a PC, I guess. Now, MSFS comes out for the PS5 tomorrow, but Microsoft reached out to me and told me, do you want to, test this? Do you want to show your viewers how this works? And I said yes, but I don't have a PlayStation 5, so I reached out to my friend Lucas, who bought it. Anyway, once again, this comes out tomorrow for pretty much the same price as we've already known from Microsoft Flight Sim, and I guess there are some nice things about it. It doesn't take away a lot of space, 27 gigabytes, because the whole world is streamed. And so today I'm going to do something that I've never done before. Play the Microsoft Flight Sim on a console. Let's see how that works out. So let's go ahead and launch it. Yep, we know the screen from the PC, and here we see it loading in. And I feel like this is a new trailer, right? This is some new graphics that we haven't seen before, I think this is a PS5 made trailer, right? Anyway, I'm really interested in seeing on how the PS5, which is much cheaper and smaller than, for example, my computer, handles the graphics, the flight dynamics, which obviously can be quite demanding, but I'm especially interested in seeing, well, how is the flight sim experience when you don't have a mouse and keyboard? But we have this. Now this right here is the XB1, the Boom demonstrator airplane, which is coming out, I think, next week for all the Microsoft Flight Sim versions. It's not included here yet, though. All right, and so it is loaded up, as you can see, in 1440p resolution. Is it me, or was the trailer there a little bit choppy? Okay, all right, so here we are in the menu screen of this new Flight Sim, and while we obviously have, the usual console limitations, there's no way to connect this up to, VATSIM or SayIntentions to get proper ATC. Neither is the way of installing custom add-ons from the internet, like FlightSim.to. Instead, though, there is the marketplace. Planes like the A340 or the A350 or even PMDG come out for the in-game marketplace as well. Right now, though, they're not available just yet. Maybe the developers need to port them over. That could genuinely be. So far, we only really have the stock Microsoft Flight Sim airplane. Good thing is that the default planes in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 really aren't that bad anymore. And so here we are in the selection screen of the map, which is the same as Xbox. You use your controller to, select a location. Why is Courchevel smiling at me like that? That's probably not too smart with an Airbus Beluga like that. Let me spawn into Innsbruck and see what that looks like. We have the classic thing where the terrain really takes a long time to load into the map, but that's fine. Let's spawn up onto the Ramp GA Large. Now, this screen right here, I think, was kind of made for a PC. I feel it's a bit unintuitive. How do I even, how do I select an aircraft? Switch to panels. There we go. I feel like with a mouse, this whole experience is a little bit better, but that's fine. We have all the Microsoft Flight Sim airplanes available. So I guess I want to start off with something like the Boeing 747-400, but not a normal one, the Dreamlifter, of course. Now here we face the usual limitations of our streamed content. It's all downloaded from online, and so just selecting the variant takes forever to load. Oh, there we go. That worked now. We can select the fuel and payload. This is fine. This is just regular Microsoft Flight Sim stuff. I'm really interested in seeing how this looks like. It takes forever to get to, for example, even the time page. And just changing time is come on. Yeah, that's better. There we go. Let's go ahead and start flight. Like that. Perfect. Okay, spawning in. Okay, all is good. Ready to fly. And so here we are in the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. And this really does not look bad at all. In terms of performance, I'm talking. This is the airport of Innsbruck, and we can have this custom scenery. Now, of course, I set the graphics to high. So, for example, characters quality can be either set to low or medium. In fact, the medium is the best. So, fauna density, off, low, or medium. Great. And no, seriously, this runs really, really well. I feel like especially walking around works really well with the controller, too. Now, of course, the render distance, we can kind of see the limitations of the PS5. After all, this is not an RTX 5090 gaming crazy thing. But I want to rather take a look at the airplane, the Dreamlifter. Why did I select that as the first aircraft? Well, it's because it's the most buggy plane for the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Even a year ago when it released first, there were quite a lot of bugs and issues with this flight sim, and I can actually still see them right here on this brand new release. My question to you, is that nose landing gear lifting up? because actually it is. And when we go close, the LOD makes it so it gets back onto the ground. Yeah, LOD is level of detail, and it means that when you go further away from an object, it loads in a less resoluted version of that object to save resources. And it really doesn't work too well on the Microsoft Flight Sim, I will say. So, for example, if we go, look, it does this with the engines. In fact, the engines right here are not even properly round when you're too far away. This is what happens when you go close, it changes back. And that's a little bit weird, because even if you go very close, we've got like 2 overlapping textures here on that engine, and I really wonder how that can happen. I mean, I gotta say, now that when you go really close, the LOD works perfectly, and all looks great. Honestly, the engine model looks totally fine, other than the fact that the engine spinners are not painted, which is weird. I don't know, no, why would you do that? Either way, look at the landing gear, that also looks great, and we can of course Microsoft Flight Sim style check it. Let's go and remove the chocks right here. I mean, even here the level of detail is like odd. Like when you, like why? Anyway, let's get into the aircraft by pressing L. This. Yeah. All right, and so here we are in the cockpit, which has some LOD issues as well. What is this? What are these resolutions? They're slowly starting to, come in. I don't get it. And just like before, now that everything's loaded in, it all looks amazing. Now the thing is, of course, like genuinely looks quite amazing. We can get into outside view. All right, the engines are still broken. In fact, our nose isn't even on the ground, and now it's kind of like a definitely not round shape. Of course, the thing is, these were issues that were a thing a year ago already. This is nothing new. Anyway, let's go ahead and turn on this airplane. And this is where it gets interesting. How less intuitive is, turning on an airplane with a controller as in comparison to a mouse. Let's go ahead and turn this airplane on now like this. So we use this right here, of course, to move about. Now our middle cursor is kind of a mouse. Now these systems are quite realistic, so this works. Set this. Yep. Now, for me right now, this is of course a lot slower. I feel like you could get used to this. It's definitely not as bad as I thought. Honestly, we just move it right there. Perfect. Now, of course, just like in the PC version, we can change our control options. I really want to be able to zoom into the cockpit. So let's do this. Scan this. Yep, that works. Unzoom cockpit with this. Turn on the fuel pumps. And I do have to say, this looks great. And honestly, I don't mind the haptic feedback. There's a vibration whenever we press something. Now, the 747 Dreamlifter with beautiful Zebra engines does not have one thing, and that is actually an APU. In order to turn on these engines, we need to go into the settings right here and request ground air. So let's go ahead and do that. By the way, here we can also open and close the tail door, which as you can see opens right now. Now, granted, there is no ASU model here or anything. In fact, why is there's like an Alpha Ghost? But our imaginary air unit should be able to turn on our engines when we turn on the starter. So let's go ahead and select that, starter engine on. So now air is provided into the engine and that is working. As you can see, that is turning on. In the meantime, our door is opening. So yeah, this is the fully fledged Microsoft Flight Sim after all. Everything is usable. Now, it would be unwise to say that this isn't any way better than a PC version. Of course it isn't. Not in terms of the graphics, but just the intuitiveness. Look at this right here. As you can see, engine number 3 is turning on as well. So this is all working. But let's go ahead and skip to takeoff. Though we right now have a warning light on. By the way, get yourself some beautiful warning lights on the Swiss01.store. If you buy now, it will definitely arrive before Christmas. They make sounds too. The fact that there's a warning light here also shows on our DualShock controller. As you can see, when I press the warning light to turn it on, there we go, it turns off on the controller. Good. Let's go ahead and finally fly this floating model right there. Yeah, it's definitely on the ground. Now, let's finally address the room of the elephant. How do you fly an airplane with this thing? We could either use the joystick. Yeah. But I don't think that's very realistic at all. Something that's cool though is that they do have something called a gyroscope. There we go, that's now toggled on. And as you can see, this is kind of like playing a phone simulator. And this might not be terrible. After all, this kind of resembles a yoke if you held it this way. But obviously that doesn't work anymore. So in order to increase power, I have to press like the X button. Yeah, and this works. And this airplane that sounds like a metro train is now, getting engine power. We've got a caution light, which also resembles here a red here on the DualShock. Honestly, in my shot, the lights are much better than this, but this is fine. Anyway, I can use these buttons right here to change the flaps configuration. Can you see that? Oh, also the landing gear. Let's go and release the brakes right now. Beautiful. And we're moving. And we're moving. Hello, we're moving. We're going full power. The brakes are definitely released. Why in the world are we not moving? Hello? Oh, now we're moving. I didn't change anything. Now we're suddenly moving. Okay, we're going full power. As you can see, wow, what in the world is wrong here with the frames per second on the primary flight display? Maybe a little bit of limitation right there. Either way, what? Hello? We've suddenly stopped moving again. Well, I think I keep toggling active pause. Well, then I apologize. Yeah, I did. Great. Either way, we can use the shoulder buttons right here to control rudder. And as you can see, I'm flying the airplane with the gyroscope of our controller. And honestly, this is not too bad. We can put the landing gear up like this now. Yep, that's working. All right, very good. And I really do like the haptic feedback here. What in the world is this floating object right there? Thank you very much. Okay. The thing is, who will get the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 for PS5? Is it the pro pilots that care about every little detail? You know, autistic people? Probably not. Rather than a random gamer who's kind of also interested in liking a little bit of planes. In fact, every flight simulator is a bit of a good flight simulator because it almost is in sort of a missionary position to share the aviation passion. What am I even yapping about? This right here is the Microsoft Flight Sim 737 Max. Let's get inside of it. Like that. Great. Oh, there's a texture error. Did you see that? That's hilarious. How can this thing be so unpolished? Like, I still wonder. Let's turn this plane, though. All right, that worked. Master caution light, also yellow. Yeah, look at that. Buy now on the Swiss Series 1 store. Anyway, the question is how many people will do something like program the entire flight management computer, especially here with a relatively unintuitive, this is sort of like a riddle game now with a gamepad. Talking about gamepads, you might not want to use this to fly an airplane, right? In fact, you rather want to use something like this and joystick. The problem is, though, most joysticks are not supported as far as I know. There's only the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTAS, which is okay, it's a beginner level, and their respective rudder pedals. There's just the only thing that's supported so far as far as I know. The good thing is that more and more controller support can be added later on, but you will most likely not be able to USB plug in your wing autopilot panel or anything. Anyway, we've turned this on, and as you can see, the screens work. And honestly, the graphics, not too shabby at all. Also, we have this thing right here, this EFB, in which you can plan your flight. I will say though, SimBrief does not work here. Anyway, it's time to take this airplane for a spin. So, engines, full power, and that works as you can see. Flight control check, yeah, that is working. Oh yes. Now, I'm not expecting this to work at all. Nope, that is not working. That's good. At least the physics are just like Microsoft Flight Sim. Not too shabby at all. But you know what? We haven't done a landing in this whole video yet. Oh yeah, this is definitely good. And I have to say, for console, this is good graphics. Now this is the Airbus A330, slowly starting to load in. Whoa, what is the matter? Huh? Hello? Something is wrong with this plane. Stop! Whoa, hey. Now I predict this will be quite a success for the Microsoft Flight Sim. I think a lot of people will buy this, because I mean, it really isn't that bad. Definitely doable. This is the butter machine, the Airbus A330, and it looks quite alright. Especially the butter landing gear. The problem is when we land now, we don't have a replay mode, so we can like replay our flight. What a shame. May I please turn off this? Yeah. The flight dynamics are alright. This really does like feel like flying an Airbus with auto trim, so this is actually the best way to use a gamepad, fly an Airbus, because the way you use the joystick is really like the Airbus joystick. I feel like the sounds are off. We have an altitude alert, and now the master warning light doesn't even show up on. It's a bit inconsistent, isn't it? Either way, let's go ahead and land finally. Maybe I can use the outside view to look at the smoothness of this landing gear. Bit of a challenge as well. I do actually like flying this with the joystick of the gamepad. All right, look at this. Oh, wow, great runway textures there. All right, here it is. Coming in for a landing. All right, that's good, and I can feel haptic feedback. Now, I don't know how to stop this. How do the brakes work? Wow, yeah. You know, the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 really does still need some ironing out, I feel like. And now we have overrun, and now the ground is buggy. But hey, still, and we've died. good. This will bring quite a lot more people to the Microsoft Flight Sim world, which is good because add-on developers will be like, oh, there's more money in this market, so we will make more airplanes. This thing coming to another platform is really just a good thing for us. And honestly, sitting on the couch with your controller with maybe a little bit of an unironed out experience. Yeah, this definitely isn't perfect. I kind of get it. So, everybody, Microsoft Flight Sim for PS5. Not terrible, not too great either. Basically the same experience you have on all the devices anyway. So, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow as always. Good night. The special thanks goes out to my members, my supporters, Guns Killer, R27, James Duram, That Dude, Anime Gods of Gaming, Derek, Insider Plane, Nishijutsu Finder, Professional Jamal, Ryland Williams, and New the York. You've got beautiful names.